We ready, Paige? Okay.
Ready?
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January 5th, 2017 Board of Selectmen meeting. I would ask everybody to rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Opening comments. Mr. Taylor?
The Christmas show put on by the Johnson School was here. The three of us were here. It was really well done. It was a good night. Everyone had fun.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was well done.
Okay. My opening comments are, the census, as everybody knows, is going out. In the census, there will be a survey, the long-awaited survey for the Coast Guard housing. I would ask that everybody fill it out and please send it back to the town, and so we can move on with the Coast Guard housing, and we can read what they want. These are also numbered, so you can't make duplicates, and we just move on.
And what is it, one per household?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, one per household. Okay, moving on. I would entertain a motion that we approve the prior minutes of December 15, 2016.
So moved.
Second, I'll second that for discussion. No, seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm going to take one thing out of order on this. I'm going to go to the approval application of the Ocean View extension of premises application for liquor license. And I would entertain a motion that we...
Want me to read it first?
Yes, that T would read that, please.
Town of Nahant legal notice. Notice is hereby given that an application for an extension of premises for all restaurant, all alcohol liquor license has been applied for by Atlantic Functions Corp., DBA Ocean View, for the property located at 0 Willow Road, Nahant, Mass. 01908, to include the newly erected 2,600 square foot outside terrace under the Alcoholic Beverage Control Law. Any protest, if any there be, against the issuance of such a license will be heard at the hour of 7:40, or as time allows, on the 5th day of January 2017 during the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen at the Nahant Town Hall, Main Hall, 334 Nahant Road, Nahant, Mass. 01908. It was in the item December 19, 2016.
Okay. I would entertain a motion that we accept this.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay. Any discussion? Anybody wish to discuss it? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
To approve? Aye. So moved. So we're all set. Okay. Now we'll have the town administrator's report.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening. Looking at the budget, well, let's just say that happy holidays to everybody. I hope you had a great set of holidays and it was relaxing. Now that we're back, it's budget season, and it's time for us to kind of refocus, because for the next 3 months or so, it'll be nothing but budgets and warrants. Looking at the budget timeline, tonight we're here to give kind of a quick overview of the budget and how it's coming together. This is designed to be just an introduction for the selectmen, because this is a working document, and the selectmen, myself, and the department heads will be meeting next week to kind of look at their budgets themselves, and then to start working on a combined budget recommendation. So in your budget timeline, you see that January 5th, that is this initial discussion. January 11th, which is next week, we will have the budget presentations by the department heads. And we will also have the budget binders ready for distribution to the selectmen and the finance committee. Then on January 19th, the budget will be hopefully in a state that we can vote to pass it on to the finance committee. At that point, it's not really intended that the budget will be battened down completely. It's just that it's in a state that's generally well enough to give to the FinCom so that they can start to do their work. They need to get it as quickly as they can in order to spend the due diligence to get that done. So on January 19th, we'll see that. And then also on the 19th, we'll be closing the warrant. So you can see that we've got some activity ahead of us, and we'll go from there. The draft warrant articles are the next item. And what you'll see here is a two-section memo to you that identifies the traditional articles that we see in the warrant. And those are items that I will place on there and start to populate, and then when you see the draft warrant, you'll see them all in their place in sequence. The potential new articles on the bottom, those are the ones that we have been gathering information from either boards, committees, departments, citizens, etc., just saying, consider these items for whatever reason. So there's a list of items here that we will have to, at some point, go through and consider for placement on the warrant. At this point, unless we receive a citizen petition, the selectmen vote to place something on a warrant. So these items, at your discretion, can be placed on, modified, or not placed on the warrant itself. One of the items I would like to take a look at while we're in this topic is if you look at the cemetery expansion, you have before you at the top of your pile to the right, this, which shows kind of a summary of what is seen as the kind of plot capacity for the current Green Lawn Cemetery. And you can see that for immediate available, it is viewed that we have approximately 228 plots, 200 full burial and 28 cremation. Then if you go to those plots that are available with limited work, we have an additional 241. And then those that need significant work before the plots are available, we have another 159. So when you look at our annual average burial activity over a 5-year period, it's about 32 burials per year, 20 full and 12 cremation on average. So if you were to take those numbers and apply them to the immediately available, you see that we have about 11 to 15 years of capacity within the current cemetery. And so that should bear in mind when you're looking at whether or not we want to place an article on the warrant to seek funding for the expansion of the cemetery in the High Street property behind the police station. That expansion is generally expected to cost between $2.5 to $3 million to implement the plan that was developed for the town some 5-6 years ago. So that's one item that we will be considering. And then there's a whole host of other items here that we can talk about tonight. You've got a package, or we can defer it to sometime after the 19th.
If I may,
Sure. Go ahead, Chief.
just on these, there's one that stands out that just kind of boggled my mind, was the Coast Guard housing consulting of $10,000 for the Coast Guard Housing Committee to develop 3 options. I would be totally against that. I don't even see that. That might be something we could tell them that they had best to get a petition going to get a warrant themselves. Why, when we put out a survey with 3 options, should we now give them $10,000 to put out 3 options for Coast Guard housing? This has been going on since October 5th with me, and it was left, as best I can remember, is that they were going to pursue. And I don't even know how this got here.
Again, this is a list of kind of topics and discussions that have been occurring for some time. This one just picked up 2 of the topics that have been discussed. And that package that I sent you, you'll see there's a little summary in there that identifies that this article or this placeholder that's sitting here is really for the discretion of the selectmen. So it allows us to just say that whatever you would like to bring forward, you should consider in that placeholder. If nothing naturally comes forward, then you don't have to put anything on. But it's just really for you to say that, at some point I think you're going to want to bring something forward, maybe the results of the survey or something. And so this just allows that placeholder.
But how would the Coast Guard housing even get on the selectmen's options here?
Because you as a selectman have been talking about this for about 3 months, 3.5 months, and you asked me to put it on there. And the conversation that was occurring at the various levels were both A and B. So I just put them on there as a reminder.
With A and B?
A and B is just a reminder of what had been discussed leading up to this point.
Okay. I don't believe we discussed having a $10,000 consulting fee. I think that's, we've exhausted that. I mean, I think that we've spent enough money on it. And actually, if we sold it for $2.1 million, we'd lose money with all the consultants that the town has hired for it. So I would agree with T. I think I'm against that. This B, article to dispose of housing options pending. I think we should just look at the survey and see what it says, and then, of course, it'll go to town meeting, and town meeting will decide what's going to happen.
That's what this article considers. The other articles you see here are kind of the same thing. They just are a reminder. We don't even really need to have a full conversation about them, and you can just tell me that some of these we'd like to not consider, but at least they've been brought forward to remind you that they're something we should consider.
Okay.
What did do you have a cost on what our survey was, roughly? $500?
Roughly, it's under $500. It was a very cost-efficient survey.
Right, because it's going up with the census, so the postage was paid through that.
Exactly.
So why would we give $10,000 to someone for a survey?
I just think that I don't want to do that, no. I would agree with you. I think it's...
Yeah, and I can cross it off right now. It's just, again, just a reminder of what had been
Please.
discussed. Yeah,
And then
so-
the rest we can discuss, should we discuss the rest with full board? Does that make sense, or do you want to?
That's probably a good idea.
It's probably a good idea, because
yeah,
most of these are not mine.
Right.
I will tell you that, so.
There's only one on there that's item number 7 that is new, and Enzo and I were chatting about that. And it may be better that it comes forward from the landowner
From the
versus
landowner.
They're supposed to do that. Absolutely, they're supposed to do that.
I
It's not up to
followed
us.
those emails. That was, yeah.
And so I'll go ahead and prompt that, but the rest, I think we can hold off. The only thing I'd like to keep on the foreground is the ambulance enterprise. That was a discussion that occurred at the Finance Committee last year as something that may be desirable for purposes of making sure that we're covering our costs where we can.
I think that's a good idea, only because
So,
it allows the, for the money that comes up, that's earned by the ambulance, which is significant.
Yes.
I've seen the numbers, to go back into the ambulance so that we don't, so that the next time we need an ambulance, we can pay for it, rather than, have to borrow $220,000
That makes sense.
to buy a
I
new
like
one.
Correct.
So that's actually a very good thing, I think.
And so what Chief Feinberg and myself will be doing is kind of playing with some rough numbers and some rough formation of this article, and then bring it forward and just kind of see how we feel about it at the time.
The cemetery, can I get back to the cemetery? I'd like to get onto the cemetery. I think we're okay for 11 to 15 years, or even more, because most people are being cremated now. And I think that you got full burial, and I don't think this includes the lots that we can buy back from some of the old.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Right,
You're right.
so there is plenty of room up there. I mean, to spend $2.5 to $3 million on a cemetery, which was 5 or 6 years ago, which is probably gonna be double by now, I don't think is a good idea. I just don't think it is a good idea right now. I think we should try to buy back those lots that are up in the old part of the cemetery that that no one's ever gonna use, if we can get a hold of the families, and we still have plenty of room. And I think that I'd like to see the cemetery committee have a meeting and give us their opinion also on this whole thing. So I would urge the cemetery committee
To meet.
to meet. I'm actually on the cemetery committee, but if you could get a hold of Sue and maybe have her post a meeting about this, that would be great.
Yeah, and a lot of these numbers and the verification validation of the lots came from David Wilson,
Yeah.
who's also on the committee. And so, he can speak directly to this. And as you say, cremation is becoming a new trend. And if you look at the cremation numbers, we have in excess of 200 cremation plots that would be available almost immediately. So, that's a considerable amount, especially when you're looking at 12 cremations per year on average. So So yes, I'll get the cemetery committee together and have them take a look at this. Anything else on the list you'd like to talk about now? Not that you have to, but it's just an opportunity.
See?
The others that I really want to talk about, I think when the full board's here, I can
Okay.
say my piece.
Okay.
That's great. If you could, then take a look at the packet that I provided you. It's a lot of just backup information on all of these, and I'll just give you some more information when we do talk. The next item then is really kind of an overview of the budget and where we are now. Just before holiday break, we had the deadline for the submittal of all the department head budgets. And so Deb Waters, the town accountant, and myself have been working diligently to kind of crunch this all together. And we provided you the revenue sheet, the budget sheet, and the capital plan in its current form. These are highly malleable at this point, and they leave plenty of room for discussion between the selectmen and myself and the department heads to kind of work out some of the details. But I will tell you, it's been a really tough budget year this year. It's a very tight budget, and I'll go through kind of the reasons why and what it's leading us into. But what you're seeing is a balanced budget. You will the model that you have before you is balanced. Again, the binders will go out on the 11th, and when the binders go out, that gives you and the FinCom an opportunity to really start crunching some of the details. And then looking at why it's a challenging year, if you look at kind of what's coming together, we have consistent revenue numbers. So our revenue numbers are pretty consistent with the last couple of years. And then we have overall modest increases in the expenditures. At this point, it's probably about 1.9%. Last year was 3%. So you can see that when we sent out the budget message, we asked that all departments level fund except for fixed costs or contractual costs. And so there's a strong adherence to that. Some of it is just ongoing discussions between myself and the department heads. There have been a lot of demands, or I shouldn't say demands, requests for funding that have come forward, and they're based upon what would be considered optimal conditions. And you have a new fire chief, you have a new DPW director, and you also have a new school administration. So each of those organizations are really striving to put their best foot forward, but what they're doing is, unfortunately, they're working with a budget that was handed to them. And so in this budget, this is the first real full budget that they're able to actually affect change. So it's a little disappointing for them when we talk about the fact that, given the circumstances of this, that funding is so tight that we're not able to help them with optimal funding. So level funding is something they're going to have to work at. They're going to have to actually work to the budget instead of set the budget based upon what needs to be done. But they're very good department heads, and I have faith they'll do excellent. So looking at the budget in its entirety, the budget you see right now has a overall value of $11,700,000. That's a 1.9% increase. Our revenues are estimated to be approximately 11 million, just a little over 11 million. So you've got about a $700,000 delta there. Our free cash is only about $590,000. And then overlay we'll be using is $100,000. So the total revenue is about $11,732,000. When looking at the ongoing discussions between the department heads, boards, and myself, we've discussed, and you'll see incorporated, about $500,000 worth of cuts. And those cuts, again, are the difference more often between optimal funding and the reality that we live in. So it seems like a very large number, but again, you have three large departments who are striving to bring forward their best game, and so they're seeking the best funding to do that. When we get into the discussion with the department heads, that'll be an opportunity for them to explain what it is they feel they need and why, and then we'll have to talk through the fact that it's not there, unfortunately. Looking at the challenges, I think one of the first things that's new this year that's a new financial challenge for us is that we're implementing the financial plan installment, which is the austerity program that we talked about last year. That has a value of approximately $108,000. So right off the top, we have $108,000 worth of free cash that we pull out, and we set it aside for the intended uses. Just as a reminder, the intended uses were that we were going to set aside $350,000 worth of free cash, $400,000 capital funding, $200 paving program, $50 stabilization fund annual contribution, and $25,000 OPEB contribution. And what we're going to do is build that over a 5-year period of time. So this installment that you see here is 1/5, and we'll build over the next 5 years to give us those full sums. So that's the first part that really makes it difficult for the challenge of the budget. The rest of it is
Can I just ask you one question? Does that is this going to include the $255,000 that we're putting aside, the budget?
255.
We're supposed to be putting $255,000 in the stabilization fund?
It's part of that program. The 255 was a discussion that we had. It was 205,000.
205, I'm sorry.
Originally, yeah. And so the Selectmen and the FinCom met after the town meeting, and it was discussed the fact that these numbers have been thrown out and they're larger formed, but then we modified them to come down from, on free cash, we came down from 500 to 350,000.
Okay, right.
And then from 500 for capital to 400,000. The rest stayed the same. So now it's 133,000, excuse me. So
Something anyway, so.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's badly needed. We have years of our expenditures outpacing our revenues, and so this is the really only way we can get ahead of it and have in our budgets built-in free cash, which is, you'll see here, we're using all of our free cash, except now we're putting back the 1/5 that is towards the austerity program. So looking at other kind of drivers for our budget, the salary increases. This year we have a 3% COLA increase, which is a total of $145,000 for across the board. We have our insurance and health benefit costs, which are major drivers, which we have projected or assumed at a 6 to 8% increase. That's about $120,000. The school budget, because of SPED costs and contractual obligations, they're at about $200,000 over the budget request they had last year, or the budget they had last year. And so when you put all that together, we, just out of the box, we have $573,000 worth of funding that we're obligated to, and we only have $590,000 worth of free cash. So you can see the pinch. But the nice thing is that the austerity program or the financial planning program is getting us ahead. And that's what's really kind of forcing the pinch, but it's a good force because in 5 years we will be in a much better situation. So, and then also looking at the capital plan, we are looking to accomplish $400,000 worth of set-aside funding at the end of the 5 years. So in this first year, we're looking at about $80,000 as a setback. Right now, the capital plan shows actual cost to the general fund of $45,000, and then principal and interest for borrowings of $80,000. So you have a total of $125,000, which are kind of marbleized into the budget. So we're right on track where we should be with that. Next year, we will grow that to include the second installment, then the third installment, and the fourth installment until we get up to the $400,000. So that gives you an overview. Again, this is a very malleable budget. We want to keep it that way until the Selectmen and myself agree that we have something we want to send forward to the FinCom. So again, packets will be this next Wednesday. Budget presentations next Wednesday night at 6. And then on the 19th, we'll vote to send this forward to the Finance Committee. But again, don't have any fear that it's marbleized in such a way that we can't change it, because it'll be something we work on through the next 2 to 3 months. So as an overview, that's really kind of our budget, and you have all the documents, and I'd be glad to sit with any of you and walk through them, provide breakouts if you'd like, whatever would be of benefit to you.
Question?
Yep.
This is one I figured someone would ask you. Under Town Administrator, the department head salary went up 10%, went up 10. From 105 to 116,000
That's a contractual obligation.
contractual.
So that was
okay.
contractual.
I mean, it's answerable,
Yes, exactly.
because the numbers, it sort of popped.
Yeah, when we look at all the contracts for unions, contracts for department heads, this follows all of those contracts. Again, the budget message said to level fund or honor contractual or fixed costs. And fixed costs are also, for instance, service agreements and such like that. So,
Thank you.
you bet. Any questions on this?
Well, let me ask this one question. I mean, we're going to have a slight shortage. However, we've tax title property.
Yes.
I have one in front of me that we're going to collect $123,000
Yep.
just for one property. Can we get do we have a figure of how much we've collected this past year?
Yeah, Kathy just provided to me that number this afternoon, so I'll pass it on to you. And it's funny because, as you can imagine, the numbers hit in a manner that they hit the next year. So as we collect them, they then get accounted for in the next audit.
So they have to be certified as free cash?
Exactly.
Okay, but once we do that, I mean, there's other tax title properties also. Well, one of them is going to be a free one. That's Forbush Road. That's I think the Audubon's going to pay the taxes, right? I believe
It's coming up to auction. So
right, it's going to go up for auction,
yeah.
right? But there was a couple of others.
Yeah, we had total of about just under $500,000 worth of outstanding tax title, and we're almost cleaned that up. The last element is Furbush, and then there's another Furbush property.
Okay, so then that would tell me that, I mean, after legal fees and so forth, we're going to collect some serious money that's going to help us out.
For one time.
Right,
Yep.
I understand that.
Yep.
But it was money we never had.
Oh, exactly.
And it's money that we can use to probably bail us out this year, once we certify it as free cash.
Yeah, it will be helpful. I guess the challenge will be for the selectmen to determine, I'll work with myself to figure out how we best use it. And
Yeah,
because, again,
that's my next question.
yeah, it's one time, and often it's used for capital purposes or buying down debt or something. So, it's something that we should kind of set aside in one of our budget planning meetings to really talk that one through.
Well, can we, I'd like to, I mean, after legal fees and everything, I'd like to see exactly how much we've collected.
Yep.
And then I would schedule a public meeting for us to discuss what we want to use it for, whether it goes into the reserve fund or it goes into whatever we want to use it for.
Yep.
So
No,
in
I
an
would
open
agree.
public meeting, that would be great.
Yep, no, I would agree. Okay, great. If there aren't any other questions, we've just done Ocean View Rodent Control Program. On that one, we have been talking about this for the last couple months. As of June, we started the rodent control program. We have 4 properties in it. We spent about just over $4,000 on the 4 properties. We are using A1 Rodent Control, and they are stating that the properties they're servicing right now are not being, there's no demand on them. There's no burrow holes, there's nothing that would give them an indication that there's any activity. So they're stating that during the wintertime, that's not uncommon, and they would recommend that we discontinue until the spring and then start up again in the spring when the rodents are more active.
And the residents are happy with that? They're okay with it?
We have been notifying them that we're having this discussion. The last 2 meetings, we had one resident here, and he was aware that the selectmen at the time said that as of January, we would discontinue for
We
a
did
set
say
period of
that,
time.
so,
I'm fine with that.
okay. I'll entertain a motion that we suspend the rodent control program until the spring, up in Little Nahant, I believe it's in Wilson Road.
Yep.
But in the springtime, I'd like to do an overview of the whole town, to be honest with you, to see where
Second.
else there.
Let me second for discussion.
Okay, second
Go
for
ahead.
discussion.
Go ahead, just to...
Okay, I would ask that we look at the whole town, because there are other spots that I've heard that, people are having problems with rodents. So I would say that we should cover the town, try to look at the whole town, have people come up and speak to us, let us know what's going on, maybe they're having a problem. and we can just get the program going again in the spring.
Okay, I'll slate us for a March discussion in anticipation of April. Okay.
That's good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Great, and then I have a couple of updates for you. The golf course lease, as of December 30th, the past lease terminated, and that was with Mike O'Callahan, and I know that you will join me in saying that we want to thank Mike for the last 10 years. It's been a great 10 years, and he did a wonderful job with the golf course. In the lease process, there was only one bidder, and that was John Moore, and John took over the lease as of January 1st. We've done walkthroughs of the property, so we have kind of a log of what was transferred, the condition, et cetera. And right now there's construction going on at the building, and the restaurant is being renovated in anticipation of the plans that you have seen and discussed. And there's ongoing meetings with the golf course committee. So it's in action. The transfer has occurred, and I'll keep you abreast of the changes as they occur or the updates as they occur, but it seems like it's in a good path right now.
Yeah, I mean, I went down there December 31st and saw Mike, talked to him. Mike's a longtime friend anyway, and we'll miss him. He did a great job on the golf course. The golf course really, for a golf course that's been underwater a million times, it looks pretty good. And then I went down there January 1st, and I saw Anthony. Anthony was there with a couple of the other guys. I didn't see Johnny Moore, but I wished them luck, and I wished them both luck. So I think it's a good thing. I wish them all the best. They really renovate, and they're going through the whole building. So hopefully I'm sure it will. I mean, their hard work is, and hard work always pays off. So.
And so, again, I will give you probably quarterly updates. I know that the golf course committee has to make some recommendations to you that you have to then approve, so you'll probably be seeing something in the next couple meetings that you should be taking a look at and voting. So I'll bring those forward as they're ready. Then the next one is the update on the...
Golf course committee's happy with the way things have gone?
Yeah.
I know it's been early, but
Yeah,
it's good they're on top of it.
Yes, and they're used to working with Anthony, and so...
True.
Yeah, so I think it's a good start.
Thank
Next item is the update on the FEMA flood map update, and Enzo, if you want to give us an update on that, that'd be great.
Sure. As everybody knows, well, I think everybody knows, FEMA has accepted our LOMR. So it reduced the velocity zone and the A zones pretty well in the town. Now, certified letters have gone out to 52, I believe, households that are only the ones in the velocity zones will get them, and it comes to certified mail. So we ask you to read it and just sign the card so we can get it back, so we can show FEMA. And from the day that we actually prove to FEMA that we've notified everybody, 3 months after that, it becomes law. And now, that's just the velocity zone people. Now, the people that are in A zones, and they're paying a lot of flood insurance, a lot of those people are gonna come out of the flood zone. So they need to come up and talk to me. They need to look at the maps. We need to blow them up so they can see where their house is. And I'm willing to do that. I'm actually gonna be here,
Friday.
I'm gonna be here this Friday. But there's other Fridays I'm gonna be here. It's in the letter, I believe. I can't.
Yeah, exactly. You've got 3 Fridays,
Right.
starting this Friday and in succession.
Right. Right. So each week, I'll be here on Friday afternoons to talk about this, if ever anybody has any questions. But don't feel like you can't call me to talk about it if you have any questions on it. I actually had a guy come down today to talk to me about it. I don't have a problem with that, because it's something I did. It's something we all worked hard on, and it's been done, and I'm glad it was done. And moving forward, the next time they come up with a map, which will be pretty soon, we know what to do. We know how to go after them, and we know how to dispute it. Now, the other part of that is the community rating system, and there's a small glitch in it. There's a couple of houses that are holding us up. That's the part of the whole system. It's the other part where this will get us flood insurance discounts. What it does is, once we get into it, it puts us in a different insurance package. So, and hopefully, other insurance companies will come back to Nahant once they see that we're doing this. We're gonna get through it. There's 2 houses that, I can tell you, FEMA doesn't, they're relentless. I've met with this guy a few times, and he does not, he wants everything perfect to a T. So that's what we're gonna do. We got engineering reports coming on a couple of houses, because what they do is they go through all the permits from 2011 till now, and they make sure they go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and they make sure everything is on the up and up, and everything is just perfect to state building code and FEMA regulations. So, and they are. I believe they are. So once I send this off to them, once I get the reports, I'll send it off to them, we'll get into it, and then we'll have a meeting for the community rating system stuff with the committee, and we'll gather up our points, and they'll come in, the insurance people will come in, and we'll give them our points, and see, we'll get a 5% discount maybe, 10%, I don't know. And then once we do that, again, it puts us in a different insurance category, so everybody's insurance is gonna get down. It's really gonna help, so, hopefully it'll work, so.
To
and
tell
I
the
think it
whole,
will.
to tell the whole story, you should talk a little bit about Furbush and the Open Space Recreation Master Plan Phase 2, $20,000, because that's also part of the rating system number as well.
Open space is a big, big thing with the community rating system. They want to see, FEMA wants to see that we designate wetlands to open space. The golf course is one, and they're going to try to argue that and say that it's used for a golf course. Well, that's what it's used for, but it's not like we're building things there. So, and then Forbush Road, there's quite a bit of land there. There's one, Audubon Society owns a lot of that land, and hopefully they'll buy this other one. Once we show them that increases our, open space area. And Nahant has quite a bit of open space, the lowlands, the golf course, Forbush Road, and these are all places that are below sea level, so that helps.
I think to the credit of the selectmen, though, looking at the Furbush Road issue, you voted a policy that we would maintain that as open space versus selling it as a buildable lot.
Right,
which
so
is
anybody that
great.
wants to buy it will have to keep it as open space, so.
Exactly.
That's good that we did that, because it doesn't serve any purpose to build a house there. And it serves more purpose, I think, to have it used as open space. And the Audubon Society takes pretty good care of it. They come down and they do their thing, so.
And the second item is that you also are leaning towards using the $20,000 state grant in the Phase 2 of the Open Space Recreation Master Plan to dredge the lowlands and the golf course, which it's the plumbing system for most of the town. And it's clogged and choked. And so we'll be working with hopefully mosquito control and using the $20,000 to help them to fund the entire cleaning, which would be great.
On
Go
that,
ahead, Steve.
if I may, I have a concern with that, and I'd like to make a motion to obtain a written opinion from town council on whether using this grant money for the master plan makes the Board of Selectmen accept Phase 1 and/or Phase 2 of the master plan. I got a sense from last meeting that it didn't, but I've been thinking and thinking I'd really like town council to give us an opinion.
Sure.
Please.
I will second that for discussion. I would agree with T. I think we need to take a step back on the whole Phase 1 and Phase 2. I thought that was going to be part of Phase 1, the $20,000 grant.
No,
So I don't want to accept Phase 2 yet, because Phase 2 goes into more detail with the school and a couple of other things. So I'd rather wait on that. to be quite honest with you.
When we were talking about Phase 2, originally there was a discussion about using Phase 2 funding, the $20,000, to look at master planning the Johnson School site. But in the last discussion we had, we decided as an alternative to use it for the dredging of the wetlands. And that's a great use. And we've checked with the state, and they said they're okay with that. And as we discussed earlier, and I'll talk to council about this, Phase 1 really only looks at a conceptual concept. So what this is doing, the $20,000 is saying, all right, take that concept and now take it to another level. And there's so much flexibility in the conceptual design. You can accept it as it's shown, you can modify it, you can reject it and try something totally different. All it does is it gives us a grant document, if you will, and you can see it's successful. If we have a master plan that says, look, we need to do something here and it resonates well with state funding, they'll fund it. And so it's more of a mechanism for grants, and it's showing its success now. So I'll get that from town council.
Yeah, please, for that, I mean, for next meeting, then we're covered, I feel better.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay, the
it's
motion's
just,
been made.
the word free money came from someone up here, and there's no such thing as free money.
No.
So, I would just feel better, thank you.
Nope.
Okay, the motion's been made, it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think it's a good idea because I don't want to go ahead with Phase 2 into any extent, because it does, well, let's put it this way, there's gonna be a meeting the 10th?
There's a meeting on the 10th, which is Tuesday. It's here at 7 o'clock, and it's just a presentation of the document.
Okay.
Yep.
So everybody should know that the 10th, there's gonna be a public meeting of the Open Space Master Plan, and they should attend. I mean, I would hope that everybody would attend to see what's going on with that.
And if
I
you
know
don't-
I'm gonna, so,
And if you're interested, the plan is on the webpage, so if you go to boards and committees and go to Open Space Recreation Master, it's right there.
Good,
And
very
people
informative.
can download.
So the next phase you were talking about, then we really do the work, the nuts and bolts is what is Phase 2.
Yep.
Phase 1 was like, let's look at everything and
Phase 1 really tried to weave what we have in our current arsenal of master plans together and then fill some of the holes. Like, for instance, if you look at the lowlands portion of this new master plan, it shows the master plan features of the composting center. So we have an area that is now just a big pile of debris. We're supposed to clean that out and put a buffer in there and kind of a linear park and pathway. That's shown in this new master plan. So it just puts everything together in a convenient package that can be thrown to grant opportunities and say, okay, we'd like to fund that. So
we can
yes.
pick and choose.
Yes, and we can pick and choose, and again, we can never visit some of these.
that's when, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's when the that's when the committee comes in, the Phase 2 committee.
Well, right now, if we use the funding for the dredging, there really isn't a Phase 2 committee, so all we're doing is you're going to authorize mosquito control or some other organization to go in and dredge, and then they will dredge the areas that are basically delineated by Phragmites, and just clean out the canals and the ponds.
Right.
That's Phase 2.
That's something we've done every year,
Yeah.
every year. And it's important because everything drains into that golf course and right out to the ocean, so we gotta really kind of clean that up.
Correct. So going back to the FEMA program, Enzo, we've talked about this before. You're to be given a great amount of credit for all the work that you've done, and the benefit to the residents of Nahant is immeasurable. So kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. I think it worked out really well, and I think that, you know, this is something the town should have done a long time ago, and,
But they didn't.
And it's gonna-
You did, congratulations.
well, I had a committee too, and they all worked very hard. So, and it's gonna,
So your committee too.
it's gonna lower the base flood elevation, really, the whole town. And there was a question where we were gonna have to do the whole shebang, but because we did lower the whole town, but we finagled our way out of that so that we could do what they call a loamer. And those maps will be available. I can print a bunch of them, and, you know, it might be nice to have, when I have a meeting, that we can blow it up and show it on the screen so you can pick out your house, you know?
Yep.
Maybe that'd be a good idea. So, and I'll call a meeting soon. I'd like to wait till the all the cards are back, though, and I've answered questions.
Let us see if for your Friday meetings, if we can get you larger paper copies.
Okay.
And that'll help. And the next item is kind of update on the community garden. So the school department has been working very closely with my offices and the library, et cetera, on the community garden. And if you go to the library, you can now sign up for community garden spaces. And there's a sign-up process, rules and regulations, et cetera, and the library can help you through that. We're also working with the garden club, other nonprofits, and especially the Johnson School to create educational space. So it's really looking good. And the DPW has been working with the school department, Paul Kyra, et cetera, in trying to figure out kind of what happens in the spring when we start it out and then have our first year of activity down at the garden. The first year is really designed to be kind of an opportunity for us to test everything, and so this time next year we'll be talking again about the successes and failures, and then coming back to you and the school committee to say, oh, should we try something different?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and again, I think the tree farm is gonna be the best part of it.
Yeah.
And I guess they sold a couple of lots already.
Yes. Yeah, no. I don't think many people are thinking at this point about gardening, but soon that'll be a hot commodity.
Yeah, oh, that's good.
Yep. The last item I have for you tonight is, we've had this conversation about the fact that we have an open full-time police officer position, and we also have a reserve police officer position. And the chief has been going through the process of testing a whole host of candidates, and he's brought forward two, and I've taken a look at it, and I agree with his selections, and I would like to bring forward a recommendation that Brian Palangi be hired for the full-time police officer and appointed in that position, and that Joseph McCarthy be hired and appointed for the reserve police officer appointment position.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to confirm the recommendation of the town administrator for the hiring and appointment of Brian Palangi as full-time police officer.
I'll second it for discussion. Any discussion?
Well, I read over his, Chief Dwyer's did a very nice job. If Chief Dwyer says he's okay, he's okay.
Well, I've known Brian since he was a little boy, and he played football with my son. He's a very big boy, and he's a good kid. He really is a good kid, and I'm thrilled that he's going to be a Nahant police officer, full-time police officer in the town of Nahant. So, good luck, Brian, and we'll see you out there soon. So I vote. I would absolutely move that we. I second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good job.
Okay.
Excellent.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to confirm the recommendation of the town administrator for the hiring and appointment of Joseph McCarthy as reserve police officer.
Second.
Discussion on this one. You know, I don't know what I should call him, Giuseppe or Joseph, but he's a great kid. He's a local guy, and I want to tell you that this guy went through the academy at his own expense. So he's already academy trained. He's a great kid. I've just met him this past year, and I'm thrilled that he's going to be a reserve officer. And I know that there's plenty of work for him out there in the town, and it's a good start for him. And I'm very happy that we're going to appoint him. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. That's all I have for you for the town administrator report. We just have some announcements.
Okay, I want to go back to ongoing business. I'll entertain a motion that we approve the prior minutes of December 15th. I don't believe we did that. I think I went right into,
Yes.
okay.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, just in case we didn't, so,
Thank you.
all right.
Yeah. Once again, Mary Ellen did a nice job.
Great, thank you. I'll pass that on.
All right, so, old business?
None?
None? Okay, new business. We have a job posting, a public announcement for a public health nurse position open, and we have candidates that are sought. It's too bad that Ann Hudson left. She went on to bigger and better things. She was a great town nurse, and now we need to hire a new one. The posting should be, would you like me to read the posting?
Sure,
could.
if you
Okay.
could, that'd be great.
Duties and responsibility, position is part-time public health nurse. Duties and responsibilities include, but not limited to, health assessment, prevention of the spread of communicable diseases, emergency planning, and all public health responsibilities is mandated by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Public health nurse shall also follow up of disease reports and investigations, enforcement of isolating and quarantine regulations, and control of outbreaks. Other services include immunization, screening clinics, home visits, and community outreach and education. Works under the direction of the Board of Health Officer and town physician. The qualifications would be minimum qualification include RN, current RN license from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Board of Registration in Nursing, 2 years experience in community or public health nursing, and must possess a valid driver's license and registered vehicle. The resume should be forwarded to Mary Ellen Schuman, Town of Nahant, 334 Nahant Road, Nahant, Mass, or M.S. Schuman, mschuman@nahant.org. Her email is also available on the town website. You should be able to see it. Applications are accepted until position is filled.
Excellent. We'll report back as soon as we have candidates.
Okay.
If I may, I want to officially thank you for all the work that you and your committee did
Oh, okay.
on the FEMA.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You did an awful lot of work. You left your garage open a lot, you know,
And unattended.
unattended, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been noted for doing that.
For me, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And you're welcome, quite welcome. Okay. Closing. The town hall will be closed Martin Luther King Day, Monday, January 16th, 2017. The parking ban, winter parking ban. The town of Nahant has a winter parking ban stating that all vehicles must be parked off the street during the hours of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. from December 21st to March 20th, 2017. If you are a resident of the town and do not have adequate off-street parking, you may pick up a parking waiver application at the Nahant Police Station. Once the application is submitted and reviewed, you will be notified upon its approval. So anybody that wants to park on the street has to have it's a placard that you put in your windshield, I believe. I think I've seen them stating that you have a winter sticker to park on the street. And some people have to have them because, especially in the Little Nahant area and Bass Point area, there's just no parking. You know, they have no driveways, so I believe that.
I still like the blinking light that I see in Salem. The big blue blinking light in Swampscott. It says, "It's gonna snow, get your car off the road."
It does get your attention, doesn't it? Yeah.
I would never go against this, but I still think it's a couple of January days when it's 60 degrees and you can't park on the street because it's gonna snow. I'll leave it alone.
Okay.
There's a letter. Would you like to
Yes.
read it or me?
No, I'd like to see you read it. It's a great letter from a good friend of the town's.
Well, you've been reading a lot. I didn't want you to. You want a drink of water or something?
Go ahead, T.
Board of Selectmen, this is dated January 2nd. I recently returned home after undergoing open-heart surgery. A few days later, I fell in my apartment and didn't have the strength to get up. Fire Lieutenant Palumbo and firefighter Beretta responded to my fall. I think it's fall.
Yep.
Compassionately, professionally, and quicker getting me up right was handled perfectly. Nahant should be proud the way these two men represented their department. Again, thank you and Happy New Year, Bill Shavinsky, Seabreeze Lane. Terrific letter.
It is. Let me just say this about Bill. Bill was a longtime police officer in Nahant. He's just one of the greatest guys. He's an MG buff like myself, and he's done a lot for the town. And he knows what it's like to work he was an EMT. he's just, you know, and I'm glad that he's okay. And, you know, it just shows how good our fire department is when they respond to a call. I mean, I can still remember them when they came to my father's house on several occasions. These guys are great, so we're lucky to have them. They're close. They're a minute away from anybody. And, you know, Dean and Robbie, they're great EMTs. They're all great EMTs, I should, you know.
They all do a terrific job.
Right. Now, at this point, before I adjourn, I would ask that we slate the ocean rescue for the next Selectmen's meeting. Can we get them back up here to discuss the ocean rescue again?
Sure. We're also looking at, we had agreed that we would meet with the Fire Architectural Assessment Committee. Do you want to do this in public, or do you want to combine those meetings? The the Fire Architectural Assessment, we typically just meet in their committee meeting. They're been waiting to talk with you. We can combine those and do it off camera, or we could do it both on camera, however you like.
We can do it on camera.
I'd like on
Yeah,
camera.
on camera. And I want to talk about the ocean rescue a little bit. I want to clarify a few things that should be clarified so that there's no mistakes made. And that's it. So we can put them on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I'll second that.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.